Hey everybody, this is Aaron down on our Texas Real Estate and Construction YouTube channel. And for the first time, we have a wonderful guest who is experienced in raising capital, development world. So I'm really excited to have him on the show tonight. We have Drew Haney. How you doing today, Drew?
Hey, Aaron, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I know that we had connected a while back, a number of months ago. And, obviously very busy man. You have a lot going on. So it's a pleasure to chat. I'm always excited to talk land and talk about one thing that people are interested in on our channel, and that's money. So great to have you on.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I think right before we talked, or right after we talked, I flew to Asia for the summer. So one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur is you can work whenever you want. So got to work in another time zone. For pretty much all of July, I got to experience what it's like to have meetings at 1 a.m. And definitely glad to be back in the U.S., be back in the normal time zone, and be here on your show.
Absolutely. And it kind of seems like maybe those are the problems that people would like to have, maybe not.
Yes.
Not being restricted by your 9-to-5 job and having to lose a few extra hours of sleep. Sounds like it's worth it.
Definitely. These are all rich people problems. Really, any problem I have now is a very good problem to have. And then 4 or 5 years ago, I would have paid any cost to have the problems that I have nowadays. So right now, I would say my biggest, I wouldn't even call it a problem, but what I do is I connect. I deploy money into deals. So I connect people who have money but no deals, and I connect them with people who have deals but no money. And of course, I make a cut in the middle. And so the past 2 years, I have had plenty of deals and not enough money. And now I'm sensing a shift. This is just in my own economy, just in Drew's economy. I'm sensing a shift where I think I'll have too much capital soon and not enough deals. And these are all, like, I stress about this stuff, but these are all very, very good problems to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe without getting too far into the weeds about it, obviously a lot has shifted over the past 4 years, in the economy, the way we see business and finance and obviously real estate. But why do you say that? Why do you think this year is going to be different? You're going to have maybe too much money and not enough deals.
I'm not trying to make a hint at my macroeconomic view on, on real estate in general. I'm just, I'm getting a lot more exposure to people with money. And for example, next week, so today is October 9th. Next week, I'm pitching my business model in front of 500 investors. And so I'm going to get up on stage and show them the returns that I've been getting for basically friends and family. And, like I may have some, 1 or 2 guys with 5 to 10 million who want to deploy it with me. And then I would need to scramble and go find $5 to $10 million worth of deals, right? Versus right now, I would say if somebody brought me 500,000 to $1 million, that would be the perfect amount where I could deploy that very quickly and it wouldn't seem overwhelming. So it's just, keeping that balance. It's a teeter-totter, and one side is always going to be a little bit more than the other, and it's just a game we play, and that's why we make the big bucks.
Sure. And what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that you're electing to do smaller deals, or that you're having to structure your financing different? I'm just curious which one of the, or neither one.
Yeah, so let me explain, because I think your audience is not really, most of them are not land flippers. So I'm a COVIDpreneur. I started my land flipping business June of 2020. I was sent home from my W-2, like the corporation just sent us all home for COVID. And I found that I could, if I didn't socialize with my coworkers at the water cooler and I worked really efficiently, I found that I could do my day job in 2 hours a day. And so for the rest of the day, I filled my time with starting the land business. And so I started out flipping cheap desert parcels in rural Arizona, buy for $1,000, resell for 3,000 to 4,000. So I did that, hired a team, trained the team to do it for me. We're doing about 100 a year. And then just a few months ago, I sold that company. And 2 years ago, so I was overlapping. I was doing two things at once. 2 years ago, I started Rooster Capital, which is what I do full time now, which is a land flipper has, let's say they have a 1 acre parcel an hour outside Dallas. It's worth 100 grand. They're buying it for 50K. They would come to me and they'd say, "Hey, Drew, if you fund this deal, I'll give you 40% of the net profit." Right? So I front the 50K. Let's say we list it for 100K. Let's say it sells for 90. After closing costs, we get back 81 or 82 grand. That 32,000 is the net profit, and I would get 40% of that. So that's what I would have been doing for the past 2 years, and which is funding land flips. And so whenever I run out of my own capital, which is pretty much all the time because I'm always deploying it, whenever my capital's gone, and I still have a pipeline of deals I need to fill, I go out to friends and family and investors, and I use their capital, and all I do is I simply split my cut with them. And so they can, actually just added up their numbers. Over 57 deals where I've arbitraged the money, they have averaged 14.9% ROI per deal, and each deal has averaged 135 days on market. So in theory, they're doing like 40-something% return a year if they're rolling that money as fast as they can. I'm trying to think where I was going with this. Why am I telling you? Oh, I'm explaining the land deal process. So I'm not raising capital for large developments. I'm not raising capital for 2,000 condos being put up outside Houston. I'm raising capital for mostly land flips, and then sometimes a minor subdivide, and then also a newer project is entitlements.
Okay, and would you explain those three terms, right? So if you were to get land entitled, what exactly would that mean?
Yeah, so I just got off a call. My business partners want me to raise capital for I forget where they said it's at. I think it's in Georgia. They locked it up under contract for 3.6 million. We'd need to spend a few $100,000 on engineering drawings and approvals. It would take about a year to get all the approvals. And then once it's fully entitled and we could sell it to a builder, it's worth about 6 million. And so we're able to really, with a few $100,000, create like 2 million in gross profit in about a year. Now, those returns sound really amazing, and they are. However, in my opinion, entitlements have the highest chance of not working, which means that every time you go to spend another 20K on the civil engineer, you really need to make sure that there's a very, very high chance that you can close the deal. Versus with a land flip, you buy something for 50K, it's worth 100. It's hard to screw that up, right? Especially if you're doing deals. Like I fund 15 to 20 deals per month across about 30 to 35 states. And because of these flips are all spread out, it's really hard to, it's hard to mess it up because your risk is all diversified. And then to explain the third term, minor subdivides, that would be like taking 100 acres. Like I've got a project right now. It was 46 acres, an hour north of Austin. We split it into 9 child parcels, anywhere from 2 acres up to 11. And we're selling off those child parcels. We've got 6 out of 10 sold. The project's been open since March. And we'll essentially turn 500,000 into about $1 million once we've fully exited. Of course, with a lot of labor and a lot of a lot of meetings with my business partner. But those are the three main strategies that we are doing in the land niche right now.
So it sounds like out of those three, the foundation would really come, the foundational experience would really come from the land flipping, right? Because it sounds like with the entitlement process, I don't want to call it a gamble, but I mean, if you're going to spend 20 grand on an engineer, you want to hope that it works out, right?
Yeah, so I would say like kindergarten level is land flipping. Junior high is like minor subdivides, and then like high school or maybe college or PhD level. I would say PhD level is like building 2,000 condos, right? So maybe we'll put entitlements at high school level. And the returns reflect, the skill level, and the risk reflects it as well, right? Most land flippers get bored after about 3 years because you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And that's when they start looking for other strategies to kind of keep their mind occupied.
Absolutely. I guess you got to that 3-year mark of boredom, right? Really wanting to create or build or go vertical, I guess, right? As opposed to just flipping the land.
Yeah, I created a machine. I created like a conveyor belt where we would, we were doing 100 deals a year, both buying and selling. And it was great, and it was making money, and I had a great team, but my brain started to atrophy, right? So I find with me and most founders, we have a very high need for variety. We don't want consistency, right? So I find with me, after I've done the same skill set for about a year and I feel like I've mastered it, it's time for something else. And that doesn't mean you just chuck out like the baby with the bathwater. You don't just ditch the whole business model that you've created. You can sell it, or you can, train employees to run it for you. There's a lot of ways to not just like ditch something that's working just because you're bored,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And out of curiosity, how did the land flipping work? Is it mostly like a distressed property? I know you said out in rural Arizona, but you just find a distressed property and
Yeah. So think of the CarMax business model. So this was about a year ago, I took my old Mercedes to CarMax. It was worth $16K according to Kelley Blue Book. CarMax offered me $8,000 for it. And they don't say this, but their point is basically, hey, this is a low offer, but we're taking a headache off your hands. And if you want to sell to us today, then this is your price. And I said, no way. And then like a month later, the check engine light comes on, and then I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. I should get rid of this thing. So I sold it to a friend for $7,000. So meaning that the model works. CarMax essentially makes money by offering people convenience, right? Same with land flipping. It's only a little bit different. So what land flippers do is they have to send out thousands. Let's just say on average it's about 5,000 either offers or just neutral. They're called like neutral letters, where basically you're either giving them an offer in the letter, or you're saying, hey, I want to buy your land, let's talk. But either way, you have to send out, let's say, about 5,000 letters, 5,000 text messages, maybe 5,000 cold calls, 5,000 ringless voicemails, 5,000 cold emails. And you're asking 5,000 people, hey, give me a good deal on your land and I'll buy it right now in like 2 weeks, kind of thing. And a small percentage, 1 out of every 5,000 people, will be in a life situation where that's great for them, right? Maybe they inherited the land and it brings up bad memories. Maybe they inherited the land and their grandpa bought it for $500 and they know it's worth 100, but they don't want to go through 6 months of waiting to sell it. They'd rather get 50K right now, right? There's all kinds of ways where it can be a win-win, where you're not taking advantage of the sellers. You're just finding sellers that want cash right now in exchange for convenience. So to give you an example, we sold our house in Kansas City in fall of 22. And we just, for whatever reason, we decided we wanted to move ASAP. And so We gave away 4,000 square feet worth of furniture for free because we wanted it out of our house. So we probably gave away like 20K worth of furniture, right? So these people are coming inside our house. They're happy they're getting free furniture. I'm happy that they're taking it out of my house. And it was a win-win for everyone. And that's kind of how it is in the land business with land flipping.
Absolutely. That's a great comparison as well. You were kind of talking about the Kelly Blue Book and CarMax. Could you also describe, was there a certain, I don't want to call it a breaking point, but was there any sort of moment towards the end of your time at land flipping when you thought, hey, this is my time to jump. I should really do something a bit different?
Well, I still fund land flips, so I'm still in the business. I'm not actively buying and selling them myself. I did the whole Tim Ferriss thing. I got my work week down to 5 hours a week. I did all the right things. I followed the playbook correctly. But what I found is that working as little as possible is actually not what makes you feel fulfilled. In fact, you get really bored, and then you got to find something to do with your time. And for me, the most fun thing I can do with my free time is not mountain biking or having some hobby. It's doing business deals. And so the flipping was working, but I was a little bit bored of it. Funding businesses was growing. And so I looked at these two businesses that I had, and one was making 3 times more than the other. And the one that was making a third of it was 3 times the stress. And so I cut the one that was low margin, high stress. And I kept the one that was high profit, low stress.
That makes a lot more sense. Out of curiosity as well, have you ever considered doing more of the construction side? Because I know, at least my experience, we wouldn't touch raw land. I guess that wasn't really our business model. We stuck more to infill, in the inner loop and in the inner city with the intention to go vertical and build.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for any business model where I'll learn and make money at the same time and have fun. I'm down for that. I think the timing needs to be right. Yeah, I think it's probably not the right time right now, but hey, if there's someone out there who's listening to this and they want to teach me their business model and they think I'd be good at it and it could be a win-win, and somehow we can partner, I'm definitely open to that. Because I'm a little bit understimulated at the moment. The funding business is pretty automated right now. So I am looking for something new, but definitely don't want to hop into something just because I'm bored. I want to make sure it's the right fit.
I guess anything else in the real estate business you're looking forward to, or really what do you make of these next few months in particular? I guess we have the economy shifted. We have this election coming up, a lot of changes in the real estate space. What do you think's next for us?
Well, things are really slow. I think in all of real estate right now, things are slow. I think everyone's waiting for the election. Everyone's waiting for rates to drop. I expect things to speed up in January and be back to normal. When I say back to normal, I don't mean like COVID, like cocaine-infused speeds, but I just mean like back to a normal, healthy market with supply and demand balance. So I expect it to stay slow, at least from my perspective in the land business. I expect it to stay slow through the election and through the holidays.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And do you think that it would be, what was that you said at the beginning of the show? Was it there would be plenty of cash, but not enough deals? Do you also see that happening in January as well?
Well, I just meant that like for myself.
For yourself? Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of, I day traded for 5 years. I have 2 business degrees. Like I have a decent education in economics and macro trends. And I feel like my only conclusion after all of that is basically that I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Like that's my summary. And I don't even try to speculate on what's going to happen next. All I try to do is whatever is working now, I'm going to keep doing it until it stops working. And as long as I'm keeping my leverage and my exposure low, then it's fine. If my margins start to get squished, then I'll find something else that works.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So it sounds like those are the three facets of your business, or businesses rather, I guess, the land flipping, the minor subdivision, and then the entitlements, right?
Yeah. Yes,
So
sir.
what's the difference between a minor and major subdivision?
Minor subdivide would be you're splitting off of the existing road. So you'd want a parcel with good road frontage. Let's say there's utilities already on the road. There's already power. There's already a 6-inch water line. And the only thing you need to do is do a survey, get approvals, and the end buyer puts in septic, right? That would be a minor subdivide. Major subdivide would be like what you think of with the cul-de-sacs and the curb and gutters, and you have quarter-acre lots, and you're putting in 2,000 paper lots at once, and then maybe you sell the paper lots to a builder. Maybe you do the horizontal developments, maybe you don't. You can kind of exit at any step of the way. That would be a major subdivision. And that's usually when you have to have like local, what do they call them, hearings, where the neighbors can protest and stuff.
Yeah.
That would be part of a major subdivision. You're talking with sewer companies, you're talking with the water company, power, and typically it's a pretty extensive project.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Is there anything you haven't said thus far, Drew, that you'd really just like to hit home for us or let our audience know about?
I think the key is to have fun. I've seen really good success so far in the past 4 years just from chasing what's fun. I'm very money motivated naturally. So for me, what's fun is also what's very profitable. So maybe take my advice with a grain of salt. But if like life really sucks and you have not enjoyed the business for multiple years in a row, I think you need to look at something that needs to be tweaked. The only exception I would make to that is if you're working a W-2 and you're trying to get your business off the ground, and you've got like a wife and 2 toddlers at home, and life sucks in that season, I would say that's totally normal, and you just need to gut through it. For me, that season was about a year, and I was working my day job, I was working the land business, I was company commander in the Army Reserve, and I had a toddler and an infant at home, and and my wife was starting a daycare. My wife was starting her own business. It was just horrible. And for like a year, anyone could tolerate that. And so if you're in that season, just know it's temporary.
Yeah, that's really encouraging as well. I know you mentioned you did, I didn't get to ask you earlier, but you did about 10 years in the military, you said?
Yeah, I just counted today because when was it? Last week was my last day in the Army Reserve. So it's actually about 11 years.
Okay. Wow. So you're going to be completely out relatively shortly?
I'm completely out now. So if they wanted me back in, they would have to draft me like a normal person.
Fair enough. Wow. That's, I guess, really, with that being said, there's really no sort of excuse, right? If you have a wife, 2 toddlers, and a lot going on, it sounds like you made it happen.
You just have to be enjoying it. Even during the suffering, you have to be enjoying certain parts of it. Like for me, I'd be on sales calls at 10, 11 at night, trying to convince a seller to sell to me at 50% discount, right? And to me, the pursuit of the sale was so much fun. I'd get such an adrenaline high from that, and then I wouldn't be able to go to sleep. So you need to find parts of the business that are fun to get you through that hard time.
Yeah. Is it more about trying stuff as well, just trying to figure out what you like, or really doubling down on, if you do find something you like, just doubling down on it? Or
that's always like an age-old question. Like how long do you stick with something that's not working, right, before you move on to the next thing? And that I don't have a good answer because I also spent, so I'm 35 years old now. I spent most of my 20s trying stuff that didn't work. And so I feel like that season, it was about 7 years of like getting kicked in the nuts. And I feel like that season was really, really good for me. But I don't have a good answer for like when to quit and try something new versus gutting it out. You kind of need to figure that out yourself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess it's you can't just give any sort of blanket advice. It kind of depends on the person and what they're doing, right?
Right. Most things work, that like most business models work if you stick through it. I would say the ones that possibly, like, we all know real estate works, right? I found with like day trading and like the whole Amazon drop shipping stuff, it just seems like the margins can be so thin in those businesses. You could have a really competent person spend years trying to make money and still not successful, versus in land flipping or real estate as a whole, like any persistent, hardworking person will make money like fairly quickly within a year or so. So I do think the business model and the vehicle does make a difference, but I think it's also a case by case basis.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense, Drew. Well, is there anything that you're maybe looking forward to, or I guess maybe some last words for our audience? Maybe you're looking to connect with certain types of investors or people in the business, or
Yeah. You could go to my website, drew-haney.com, Haney. My email is drew@drew-haney.com. Would love to connect. I'm looking for people who have money but not enough time, and I could deploy your money into deals. I'm also looking for people who have deals but not a lot of money, and I can find money for your deals. And just create a win-win scenario for everyone.
absolutely, Drew. I think that's a pretty good way to cap our show. Again, it's been great to catch up with you, sit down and chat, learn a little bit more about your background, and the different facets of the business that you've been in, whether it's subdividing or land flipping or entitlements. It's been great to chat. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron.
Yes, sir. We'll talk to you later.
Yep, bye-bye.